some screaming heavy metal! We rock!
But the evil that men do lives on.
We gonna bang your head!
You are now listening to the Music Mania podcast, a hard-hitting show featuring all things hard rock and heavy metal. And now here are your hosts, the Twins of Chaos, Clint Switzer and Paul Lagana.
Welcome to a very special Thursday edition of the Music Mania podcast, and we are celebrating a birthday here because my co-host, Paul Lagana, celebrating a birthday here on Friday. And what are we going to do for this special occasion? It's going to be
Uncle Teddy.
A Sonic baptism, if you will. It's the Sonic baptism tour where Ted Nugent rolls in to the Kansas City Crossroads tonight. And we're going to have our very special guest, Greg Smith. He is Ted Nugent's bass player, going to come on to talk about it from his hotel room in KC. Paul, happy birthday. Can't wait for this show. We got just a big weekend planned, man. We're going to do some Ted Nugent, and then gosh only knows what kind of trouble we'll get into. For your 40th birthday, is it?
You're just 60?
You're just a little younger than Ted. You're a little younger than Ted Nugent.
Actually, 51 to be exact, Clint. But thank you very much, and what a way to celebrate a birthday, my friend, man. Uncle Teddy.
Yeah, the Predator Tedder, the Motor City Madman. Say what you want. You can call him Crazy Uncle Ted. Say he's over the top. Not like his political views. Not like the fact that he kills venison. But I'll tell you what, it's all rock and roll, and we're going to be talking all about it with Ted Nugent's bass player, Greg Smith, here in just a little bit, man. Greg has been in the band for 9 years. He's done it all. He's been in Alice Cooper's band in the 2 different stints in the early 90s and early 2000s. He was in Wayne's World, so can't wait to talk about that. He has just been around. Greg's a great bass player, and Ted Nugent boasts the nastiest, the best rhythm section in rock and roll, in my opinion.
Incredible, Clint. Ted Nugent has been around for, since the early 70s. Obviously, everybody knows everything about Ted, but I'll tell you what, this guy's still going strong at 67, man.
Gotta respect
touring 6 nights a week.
Yeah, there's no breaks for the Ted Nugent band.
No, crazy.
These guys don't do the fly-in weekend dates like a lot of bands of this age. They're out every night. They're on the road just like anyone else. And I'll tell you, they are as strong and as tight as ever. And Greg Smith's been in this band for quite a while now. Can't wait to welcome him to the show.
Right, and also the venue that we're going to be seeing him at, Crossroads, unbelievable venue. Anybody who's listening to this in Kansas City, get out there. Crossroads is an unbelievable venue.
And grab some Grinders Pizza before the show, man. It's the best pizza in Kansas City.
No doubt about that.
Okay, well, at least we agree on something food-related. They also got good meatball sandwiches, if that's what you're into. But come on out to the show. Guys, it's going to be a rock and roll bonanza. It is the Sonic Baptism Tour, and it is our pleasure to go ahead and welcome on our very special guest on this week's Music Mania podcast. He is bassist from Ted Nugent. It is Greg Smith joining us live from Kansas City. Greg, you guys just got done playing the Full Throttle Saloon here on the Sonic Baptism Tour. How was that, and how's everything going at the Full Throttle?
Very cool venue. It's still a work in progress, but it was great, and it was a great turnout, and it's always fun in Sturgis.
Yeah, what an awesome show it looked to be, and I mean, you guys are, again, this tour's been going on now. Got to get it through the summer because, of course, Ted's got to get out to the deer stand by November. So you guys got to get the tour.
Yep.
That's why you do the 6 days a week. You got to get it all over with, right?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think it ended up being like 53 shows, just packed into the summer, So it's quite a lot. It's a pretty crazy schedule.
Well, absolutely, and this is let's talk about this version of the Ted Nugent band. You've of course been in there since 2007, but you got a new drummer, Jason Hartless. The rhythm section in Ted Nugent's band, it's no more important in any other band than it is in Ted Nugent's band. Ted's always had the nastiest rhythm section. You go back to Marco Mendoza, Tommy Aldridge. I mean, yourself, you've been there forever. Mick Brown on drums. There's just been so many great musicians, but talk about this Jason Hartless kid and what he's bringing to the band, man. This is crazy.
Well, he's only 21, but he's killing it. I mean, he's got a musical ability and a knowledge far beyond his years. I mean, he's it's not easy being in Ted's band. I mean, this band would eat up most musicians, because you always got to keep your eye on him. You never know what's going to happen. He might throw you a curve. He might change some stuff around. he listens. He's always watching. He's rock solid, and he's got great chops. I mean, it's really, the kid's really something else. He really surprised me. You know, I knew he was good, but he's really, you know, really done an amazing job.
Awesome, Greg. And just talk about Uncle Ted actually for a minute. You know, he's an avid outdoorsman and a hunter. Just talk about that lifestyle and how you've embraced that lifestyle.
Or if you have.
I'm sorry?
Or if you've embraced it. I mean, I don't know if Ted has you out there with an Uzi.
I've always been into you know, shooting and guns and stuff like that. I grew up in Long Island in New York, and you know, there's not a whole lot of hunting going on there, you know, except for you know, other people hunting humans, I guess. You know, but you know, but I've always been into guns. I remember in seventh grade, I was in the rifle club, which actually was in the basement of the junior high school in Long Island. Which, you know, you can imagine now, Long Island the way it is. If you even say the word gun, you get arrested. You know. But it was just something I was always into. You know, I'd go to the range all the time. You know, when I got older, I bought different guns and stuff. You know, I moved out to Pennsylvania now, so I'm you know, out in the wilderness there, and a lot of my friends hunt and you know, are always trying to get me to come out with them. The problem is I just don't have the time, because when I'm not with Ted, I'm playing with other bands and
sure,
you know, touring, and I've always got to continue to work. You know, I'd love to. One of these days I'll get out there. I got a buddy who's got 40 acres, you know, just down the road from me, and you know, he's always trying to get me to come out. But yeah, one of these days, you know, who knows? Maybe this season.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, again, we're talking about the Sonic Baptism Tour, which has been going on for a while now, and it's just gone great. Reviews are great. Seen some of the clips on YouTube. Cannot wait for the Kansas City show here Thursday night. I know it's going to be a packed crowd. Ted is here a lot. You've been to Kansas City quite a few times here just since your stint in the band. But, Greg, things have not been sunshine and rainbows for you on this tour. You had a bunch of stuff stolen, I believe, in Allentown. What in the world was that? And did you ever recover any of that, your truck and gear? What the hell happened?
Yeah, I got the truck back, you know, but you know, they took the keys, and you know, oddly enough, I just lost the main set of keys, so I was working on my spare set, because I lost the other set in my lawn, and I only found it when my rotting mower picked it up. So those keys were destroyed.
Oh God!
And unfortunately, you know, it was towed, and I got beaten up by the city of Allentown for the tow and the storage. You know, like $260, and then you know, I had to pay to get the ignition changed out, locks changed out. It's changed all my locks in my house and my studio, and I never recovered any of the gear. You know, we've got a few ideas of who was responsible, but it's just about proving it. You know, I mean, the stuff's pretty hot. You know, so and it's pretty unique stuff. I mean, at least the bass is. If it shows up anywhere, you know, somebody's going to know about it.
Well,
and so either these guys are holding on to it, you know, or they dumped it in the river. I don't know.
God,
you know?
Unbelievable that there's nothing worse than a thief. And I'm telling you, if you're going to steal from a band, to me, the Ted Nugent band would be the last band you would ever steal gear from. There's enough ammunition in this band that I just don't think you'd ever recover. I can't believe it. I mean, gosh, it's insane, man. I can't believe that happened.
Yeah, yep. And then the nice insult that came afterwards is I got a parking ticket from the city of Allentown.
You're going to have to move from Pennsylvania.
Parking zone.
Oh, that's insult to injury.
Yeah, we need to sick Uncle Teddy on him too, by the way.
What was that now?
I said we need to sick Uncle Ted on them to get them going. Absolutely, yeah.
Well, Greg, I mean, of course, you know, you've done so many things in your career. I mean, you've been in the Ted Nugent band for, you know, about 9 years, but you know, Paul and I were just going back to, of course, your stint in Alice Cooper, which was it's weird. It's one of my favorite eras of the band. I think you've done 2 separate stints, but in the early 90s, you, my friend, we're in Wayne's World, so I guess right now we're not. I guess we have to tell you that we're not worthy, really, to be talking to you right now. Has anyone ever told you that they're not worthy to you instead of Alice? That's the question.
Yeah, it was a trip doing that movie. I mean, you know, it was done in '91. You know, and it came out in '92. You know, up until that point, pretty much any spin-off that came out of Saturday Night Live went into the dumper, with the exception of like Blues Brothers movie, you know. And so we just thought it was going to go into the dumper, and ended up being the #1 movie for like 5 weeks, you know. So it was pretty cool.
Great scene in the movie too. I mean, just that era, you know, and I've always been such a fan of Alice, dating back to, I mean, his first release, Pretty for You, all the way up till now. I mean, he's just been such a chameleon, able to change his style. And when you were in the band, it was kind of, I know it was in the early '90s, but it was still coming off, you know, the Trash. He did the Constrictor, Raised Your Fist and Yell, and then Trash, and Hey Stupid, and those were, you know, all very, you know, I guess for lack of a better term, kind of '80s rock sounding. I mean, that was kind of a different time for Alice, but he evolved and was able to pull it off great. I loved those albums.
There was some cool stuff. I mean, that was the, you know, the music of the day, though. I mean, that was the style. And then '94, I believe it was, we did the Last Temptation album, which definitely was you know, a little bit of a departure from the '80s sound. You know, got back to a more basic rock sound. And then, of course, you know, 2000, 2001, Dragontown and Brutal Planet, they completely sounded different, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. You also were back in the early 2000s with those bands. I think you're, if I remember right, you're like the 4th or 5th Alice Cooper band member alumni that's been on the show here. We've had Ryan Roxy, a former bandmate of yours, Nita Strauss, who's in the band now, Kane Roberts. We have a good rapport with those guys. But oh my gosh, you know, Brutal Planet and Dragon, those were so heavy, almost early 2000s metal sounding. I mean, but and every person we talked to that was in that band, Greg, they say Alice is. Literally, the character he plays on stage could not be more different than the person he is off stage. You see Alice as that, as well as someone that, you know, talks about football and sports when you're shooting the crap off stage, and then he's on stage, he's like a monster. Is that kind of how you saw Alice as too?
Yeah, I mean, he gets into that persona, and that's who he is on stage, and it's completely different from the actual person. You know, Alice is you know, when you see interviews with him on television or something, that's the real Alice. I mean, you know, he's very intelligent, very well spoken, real funny. You know, great guy to be around. You know.
Absolutely, Greg. Greg, talk a little bit about playing in Rainbow, if you will. What are your thoughts about Deep Purple actually finally getting into the Hall of Fame? Long time coming, as far as I'm concerned. And actually, Richie Blackmore couldn't attend, but just talk a little bit about Deep Purple.
Well, Deep Purple, growing up, I mean, that was one of my favorite bands. That was really kind of one of my inspirations for starting playing. I had a buddy who lived down the block with an older brother, and we used to steal his albums, bring them to my house, and listen to them. And Machine Head was one that really caught me, and it just really spoke to me. It did something, you know, and I just couldn't get enough of it. At that point, I was saving my lunch money and all that kind of stuff, and going to buy any Deep Purple record I could get my hands on. So I was a huge fan of Deep Purple. And then, of course, you know, in following, you know, all the members, I found Rainbow, and of course became a big fan of Rainbow as well. So it was kind of surreal to end up playing with, you know, the band that I was such a big fan of, you know. I never let Richie know that, though. Richie never knew that I was a big fan of Deep Purple and Rainbow. You know, our singer, Doogie White, made no bones about the fact that he was a huge Richie Blackmore fan, and you know, Richie kind of treated him poorly at times because of that.
Wow.
So when I got into the band, Richie thought of me as just, you know, this is a professional guy coming in. He played with Alice Cooper, he played with this one, so I just let him roll with that, you know, a mindset about me, and that was it, you know, and we got along really well. You know, I was living in Long Island at the time, and he lived in Long Island. We'd get together for dinner at least 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, and a huge fan of Rainbow, and you know, I love the Dio era. I mean, the thing about, again, the common denominator here is that everyone you've worked with has played with just such great musicians. I mean, you've played with guys like Billy Joel. I mean, you've done so many, Alan Parsons. You've just done so many things. Great to see Deep Purple in the Hall of Fame, and I felt really good for the fans, because really, when you get overlooked that long, it's like it becomes for the fans that are just finally glad to get you in. Like when Kiss went in, it was like, well, you know, only 20 years coming. Thank you a lot. But I mean, I felt good for the Glenn Hugheses. Felt great, even for Richie, who didn't attend. But that's so Richie to just not show up at his own Hall of Fame induction, right?
Yeah, they certainly deserve to be in there. You know, I really, the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. They shouldn't call it Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They should call it Music Hall of Fame, because it's not, it's not all rock and roll. Madonna, really, come on,
Yeah, well.
That's not rock and roll, There should be a separate Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, in my opinion. But, whatever. There's a lot of bands that are still overlooked for bands like REM and stuff like that. I mean, somebody like Tommy James,
Yes.
he should be in there. I mean, those hit songs alone, he's got, it's amazing amount of hit songs, and and he's not in there.
Well, and that's another act that you've played with, Tommy James and the Shandells. I mean, and it's funny because like of the bands that you've played with, I love all of them. It's just kind of funny that it's worked out that way, because I love kind of like that 50s, 60s kind of malt shop doo-wop kind of music. And then
right.
Huge Alice Cooper fan, huge Nugent fan, and here's Greg Smith in the middle of all of it. But Greg, another band I got to ask you about. Some of your buddies in Dokken are going to give it a go here. The original members have some Japanese dates and a date in America, and I know you know those guys. I know you had a stint in Dokken. But what do you think about this? Because Don Dokken's kind of made it seem like, okay, I wrote a number down on a piece of paper. If we ever get a promoter to give us this amount of money, we'll do it. It kind of seems cash grabby to me. But then again, it's rock and roll. That kind of happens a lot. I.e., Guns N' Roses. I mean, I guess that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I think. They have a really good thing going, and if they can just keep it together, man, they'll all do well. I love all the guys; they're all great, but of course they have their personality differences, and I hope they can just keep it together, man. I really do, for all of their sakes,
Well, yeah, and it's only 6 shows, so you would think they would be able to do it for at least 6.
Yep.
Show up, separate dressing rooms, get on stage together for 2 hours, and that's all you got to do, I guess.
It's rock and roll. It really doesn't have to be that difficult, man. You know what I mean? If you don't like somebody, just stay out of their way, man. You get together for that 90 minutes on stage, do what you got to do, make the fans happy, and and that's it. You don't have to see that person again till the next day.
Absolutely, Greg. But before we let you go, I wanted to ask you a little bit about this, because Clint and I actually came across this. You were part of a project called Off the Road. We were just kind of wondering about that, and if that ever got off the ground, and maybe is there a future in that?
Well, no, Off the Road is just something that when I'm home and I'm not touring, it's just me and a few musicians get together and just play old rock and roll, man. There's nothing, there's no original material or anything. We just play songs we feel like playing, songs we wish we wrote, and it's just a way to get out there and play, play old tunes and have some fun, and it's usually just do it in local places by where I live in Pennsylvania, and that's about it, man. It's just for fun, certainly for money, because you're not making any money in these little clubs. It's just, if I'm at home and it's a weekend and I'm not playing somewhere, I'd be home wishing I was playing. So rather than just plugging in my barn, with some friends, we go out and hit some local clubs and do some playing and have some fun.
Awesome, and it sounded great, actually, the tunes that we came across. So that's great that you do that a little bit, just for yourselves, as well as maybe a few people that may not get to see you guys.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's kind of nice, because when you're touring, you've got your set list, and for the most part, it doesn't really change too much every night. I mean, Ted will throw in a few different songs here and there, and that's always cool. But it's generally, a pretty set kind of a thing, doing that, we just play whatever we feel like. There's no set list, man. We just, maybe the guitar player will just start playing something. Oh crap, I know that song, and I'll start playing along, and it's just fun. It's just a lot of fun.
The way rock and roll should be. And I want to urge our listeners to check you out on your personal site, which is gsmith.com, and you can access your Facebook and Twitter, Greg Smith Bass on Twitter, and all those things. And I'll tell you, for those we're talking about the Kansas City show, of course, that's where we are, and the Sonic Baptism tour rolling in here, and it's just can't wait to see Ted again. It's been 2 years since you've been to Kansas City, so 2 years since I've seen Ted. Paul and I are, of course, going to be out there. Love to come say hello at the venue. But Greg, for those that haven't seen this Ted Nugent band or seen Ted Nugent live, maybe in a long time, or maybe it's their first show, like, What can you kind of tell our listeners about what you can expect from a Ted Nugent show in general? I mean, a lot of people might say, "Oh, I'm not going to go because he's going to vote for Donald Trump." I would urge those people to swallow it and come see Ted anyway. He's one of the greatest guitar players of all time, greatest rhythm player to me in history.
Absolutely. Well, Ted, I think he's playing better now than he did in the 70s even. You know what, I'm standing next to this guy, for going on 10 years now, and when he starts Stranglehold and everything's, sounding great, and he's got his tone, I'm looking at him and I see him getting chills on his arm, and if he's that passionate, about songs that were written so many years ago, he's given the crowd his all, man. He definitely, it's going to be a great show. Throttling. I mean, the band is tighter than a crab's ass, and it's going to be a great rock and roll show. And regardless, the people who are not, he hasn't really been going too nuts. I mean, every night's different. Sometimes he'll get political. Sometimes he just plays rock and roll. It depends on the day. So, but one thing's for sure is it's going to be 100% rock and roll, and it will certainly kick ass.
Well, we're absolutely
cannot wait, Greg.
Yeah, we can't wait for this. It's always great. And Greg, thanks so much for keeping in contact with us. We contacted you literally 3 months ago or so, and we said, hey, let's wait till closer to showtime. Obviously when the KC show got announced, and you're actually going to be Friday night, the 12th, at the Ozarks Amphitheater here in Missouri as well. So we want to give a shout out to them. That's a great venue. You guys are going to have a great show there. But Greg, we can't thank you enough for taking time on a day off here as you're visiting beautiful Kansas City to give us let us interview you here. It's just we can't thank you enough, man. It really means the world to us.
My pleasure. I'm glad to have a day off here. I'm gonna get some nice barbecue and maybe hit that Boulevard Brewery. And
yes, I was gonna say definitely
myself.
Definitely get some Jack Stack barbecue. That's the one I'm gonna pine for is Jack Stack. That's my favorite. Paul, you might have a
Arthur
different.
Bryant's as well.
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to decide now between one of those two. You can't go wrong either way, though. So, man, hey, Greg, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great time. We'll see you at the show. Maybe come back and say hello to you at the Crossroads.
Sounds great.
And man, we can't thank you enough. Have a great one.
Appreciate it,
All
Greg.
right, thank you, man. I'll speak to you soon.
You bet.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Smith from the Ted Nugent Band and various other projects. Clint, he was unbelievable.
Really great to have Greg on the show, and I hope that if you guys listen to this, if you're on the fence about coming tonight, you get out there to the Crossroads and you support live rock and roll because there's no one out there doing it better. Ted Nugent has the best guitar tone in the world. That Gibson Birdland, there's nothing like it. He makes his one guitar. This is a three-piece band. It's Jason Hartless, it's Greg Smith, and Ted Nugent. Ted, his guitar sounds like three guitars layered on top of each other, and you can't get that. You can't do this in France. It's the Gibson Birdland. It's American craftsmanship, and it's American-made Ted Nugent. Can't wait for this show. Paul, we got to get ready for it. We got to start pre-gaming for this. So I'll tell you what, guys, we can't thank you enough for joining us here on the Music Mania Podcast on a special Thursday edition. Normally we're on Fridays. Today it's Thursday because we have the Ted Nugent Show today, and Greg Smith was here in town today, so
Absolutely.
Made it perfect, man.
And obviously, we cannot wait to see that show. Everybody else needs to get out, see a show whenever you can. They will absolutely love the support that we all give them.
Yeah, they deserve it. And guys, thank you so much for joining us in the Music Mania Podcast. Hit us up, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Do as you please. Click some thumbs up buttons. Click some, just do it all. Do it all. We thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.